Managing partner and co-founder of Perpetual Assets, champion of individualism and Austrian economics, and fictional scratch golfer, Gus Damos.
Can you hear me right on the sound? Fantastic. Buy Bitcoin. Have a great conference, guys. Take care. It's $11.95 right now, so hopefully no one will have to look at their phones the next 20 minutes. I'm going to, side note, don't fly to Tijuana red-eye if you're speaking the next morning. That's a bad idea. So if I stumble over 4-syllable words, be kind. It's not this bad usually. I'm going to go 15 minutes, and then I want to go 5 minutes Q&A on the back end. And I was tempted to go with war on cash and NERP or ZERP or whatever interest rate policy they're doing this week. But when I look at it, the greater picture is it's more than about the war on cash. It's about the war on wealth. So it used to be we looked at certain countries and said, all right, you don't want to be involved in sovereign nations that are considered a banana republic, right? You hear that phrase a lot. But if you look at the last 5 years, it's escalated. Doesn't matter if it's Cyprus or Venezuela or Greece, or if you really kind of look, they're doing it in India, they're doing it in China. If it's not necessarily a war on cash, but you see China equities market hit 500 or 600 basis points, they'll just flick the switch and shut down the markets. You know, it's command and control economics. So it's more than about a war on cash. A war on cash is kind of what they're pumping in the U.S. But they ultimately, all governments, this is not just a Mexican or U.S. or Russian or Canadian, all governments at any given point want to be able to either inflate, tax, seize, whatever, your capital on a moment's notice. And they get really, really edgy when they can't. And again, we could go example after example around the world right now, including the US. So it doesn't make them feel warm and fuzzy when they can't flip a switch and take that wealth. So we've been beating in the drum in this community for years and years and years. It doesn't matter if it's gold and silver, it doesn't matter if it's foreign investments, it doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin. These are all things that help you protect yourself. And it's not a matter of being uncompliant, and I'm going to occasionally slip up and Freudian and use profanity. It's a matter of being able to cover your ass, all right? So we're a US-based company, so we preach compliance, always, 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 for any federal agents in the audience. But you want to be prepared if it goes bad, if it goes draconian. You don't want to be the guys leaving, Nazi Germany with things shoved, diamonds and gold shoved up your you-know-what. So you want to be able to have infrastructure and have exit strategies if it goes really, really bad. So we've been talking about these things we should buy to protect ourselves for a long time, but I wanted to focus today on also this sector and ideology tend to be more biased towards Tesla, but I always use an Edison quote. The ideas without execution are mere hallucinations. So you could have Bitcoin and you could have gold and you could have this, but if you can't execute it properly on the other side, it doesn't really matter. And I'll lay out a hyperbole fictional example right now. I get off the plane a couple hours ago in Acapulco, and let's just say I showed up here with nothing but bar gold or Bitcoin. It's hard to get the taxi cab and a foot massage here, just on Bitcoin, right? So it hasn't scaled up to the level where merchants are accepting it. So, not yet, but it shouldn't matter. And here's why it shouldn't matter. Before things get bad, and even if they never get bad, who cares? There's no downside to not having all your eggs in one basket, meaning you should have infrastructures in place, not only for the assets that you have. It doesn't matter if you're holding a barrel of oil, an ounce of gold, a BTC unit, whatever. Your assets are great, but you have to think in practical terms. So you should have infrastructures in place to be able to liquidate those assets, to be able to acquire goods and services with those assets, to be able to transact in and out of cash or bank accounts or PayPals or whatever. So don't just hold, and again, I'm just trying to articulate what I do and what I think. I'm not even trying to sell, I'm gonna try to sell you stuff at the bar. I'm not gonna sell stuff up here. But this is the way you have to think. You have to be practical about it. Just to have a bunch of silver and a bunch of Bitcoin and to think you're gonna be fine and dandy, you're not. You have to play it out to fruition. Set up a Forex trading account in Belize, have metals holding in Switzerland, have a BTC liquidation unit in whatever. I'm not even suggesting which sovereigns to use. I'm just telling you that it requires more than just holding these 1, 2, 3 assets. You have to play it out. How am I going to acquire this land? If I have to go to Chile, how am I going to be able to live? How am I going to spend? Am I going to bank account when I get there? Start to think about these things, because these are the things that really matter. So you could acquire all the wealth you want, but at the end of the day, it's about being able to live on it, right? To be able to acquire goods and services. I'll also touch on and some people disagree, but don't put all your eggs in one sovereign. It doesn't matter if you're talking about your home sovereign or not. Any government at any given time could go totally apeshit. So I would spread the wealth around. I'm a firm believer in there shouldn't be one cataclysmic or one event or one anomaly that should be able to wipe you out completely. It should be almost impossible, meaning that it doesn't matter how crazy the US goes, or if Panama banking turns to shit, or Belize goes, whatever. No one event should be able to wipe you out. You should spread out your wealth to be able to cover and hedge yourself, regardless of scenarios. I think, forgive me, I don't want to go over. I think that's just kind of common sense. And again, I don't benefit from telling you this. This is just the way I think. I still have a couple of questions. As much as me and my business partner back there, God bless them, we debate Bitcoin all the time. I only have 2 more questions with Bitcoin, and really no one could answer them, unfortunately, unless they have a time machine. I think cryptocurrencies are here to stay, no doubt, long term. I'm just not sure if Bitcoin's going to be the winner 5, 10 years from now. 20 years from now. I'm not sure if Bitcoin's, yes, it's got the market cap and it was first, et cetera. I'm just not sure if it's going to be the Yahoo to Google type analogy. That's my first question. And again, no one could answer it because we don't know what's going to happen down the road. The second question is, we haven't seen, and based on severity, you could categorize it one of 3 ways. We haven't seen a mass global correction, recession, or depression. The Bitcoin didn't hit the zeitgeist until post-Lehman Brothers, so we haven't seen that Bitcoin react to that first crash. So it's, the way I see it, it's going to react one of 2 ways. It's either going to act as liquidity and cash, and it'll be viewed as a safe haven, meaning asset classes collapse and money flies into Bitcoin, similar how it will fly into dollars if deflation occurs. Or the other thing will happen. Bitcoin will be viewed as an asset, and Bitcoin will crash with everything else. I don't know which will occur. And we haven't seen it yet. So it could be one of both ways. Bitcoin could. The closest thing we could look at is maybe China's a good generic barometer, but that's not debt deflation. That's more capital controls. Once China starts freezing up capital, you see money instantly start flying into Bitcoin. But that's capital controls, not massive equity and asset class deflation. So Bitcoin still has a few uncertainties. We're huge fans of it. There's no way we're not. We've accepted it since our first 3 months of doing business, 4 or 5 years ago, and we personally, hold it ourselves as well. So we're huge fans of it. I just don't know what down the road what it's going to react like to those 2 conditions. Time, will something replace it eventually, and how it's going to react to massive economic volatility or or crashing. That's all I really have. I just wanted to open up everyone's mind to thinking about execution, not just what you hold to protect yourselves, not what equities or commodities or cryptocurrencies, but how to use them on the other side. Try to focus on that. It's important. That's not, yeah, preserve your wealth, but you got to live too. So think about how to execute on the other side of that. So I'm going to open up the floor to any questions if you guys got any.
If you have a question, by all means, raise your hand. We want to make sure that everyone benefits from this so we can get you on the mic. Please keep your hand up there. And
here we go.
We'll come around to you. And your name is?
Bix Weir with Roto-Rooter. Question, a lot of my clients have used you guys, taken their 401k, done the rollover into a self-directed IRA, which is great. It's awesome. Love the service. Their question to me is, what happens in nationalization, confiscation, haircuts in a 401k? If it's self-directed, you're going to have to give yourself a haircut type of thing. What's your take on that? How do these people holding self-directed IRAs, holding their assets in their own hands, deal with the government coming in and say, hey, here's new regulations?
I appreciate the question, and thank you for being kind, because I'm only on 2 hours of sleep. So me and Jeff touched on this on our last interview, and our clients tend to be very distrustful, obviously, of governments, as well as the attendees of the show. So we have people call in a lot asking, and again, me and Jeff touched on this briefly during our interview, but we have people calling in a lot and saying, what if the government does this? What if the government does that? What if the government does this? And I always, I've run enough philosophy to be honest and say, I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is because the government could do whatever the hell they want if they get desperate. Meaning that it's impossible, all you could comment on and say with certainty is what with current legislation you can do and can't do. You can't predict future legislation, meaning you can't say for certainty. They have all the guns. They could do whatever the hell they want. Like they could start knocking on doors and taking firstborns. I use that hyperbole to illustrate the point. Like they could do whatever the hell they want. So I can't comment on what they could do because we've seen some real desperate shit the last 100 years from governments. And furthermore, I can't comment on what the clients should do. Everyone has a different tyranny threshold, meaning that everyone has a different line in the sand. Different people will put up with different shit. Some people, some people have already left. They've expatted. Bye, I've had enough, later. For other people, it's free speech. For other people, it's the Second Amendment. For other people, so everyone's tyranny, and everyone's situation's different. Some people have kids in school, some people have this. So not only can I comment on what the government might do, but I can't comment on what you should put up with. Everyone's, again, we're champions of individualism. Put up with, what you will. But that's why that question is difficult to answer and with certainty. Anyone? This gentleman?
Maybe I missed it. What is the name of your company, and why have you chosen to base in the U.S.?
I probably should have named the company. That was, again, lack of sleep. Perpetual Assets is the name of my company. And you had a second part to your question. Forgive me. Perpetual Assets.
Okay. What is your reason for basing in the United States?
That's where we're both from. That's where we met. That's where we started the company. And as of right now, they haven't crossed our threshold. So our families are there, our friends are there. That's where all of our clients are. And our primary solution is based around U.S. retirement accounts. So most of our clientele is U.S. based, over 95%. Again, our primary solution is like a U.S. retirement account type thing. So that's why we're based in the U.S. We're not opposed to other countries. That's just where we're at now.
No, I've done offshore for a couple of decades, but because of FATCA, I had to get back in with the U.S. or U.S. territories. So I just set up a company in Puerto Rico and got a 4% 20-year tax rate. So you're still on the U.S. banking system and under U.S. law systems. Everything's possible there, except you don't pay federal taxes, you pay Puerto Rico taxes. And once you get
a lot of, yeah,
once you get that tax decree, which I just acquired, it's good for 20 years, 10-year tax renewals, no matter who's in charge of the government.
Yeah, a lot of people, and again, I'm not trying to plug what we do, but we do retirement accounts and we also do bullion. So a lot of other people in the bullion industry have already went your route. So I think Peter Schiff did Puerto Rico already, and I think Maloney did Puerto Rico. Like, so I think people have already, the Puerto Rico thing's already started. To your point, I think that's. Yeah, the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of people have done the Puerto Rico route. For all the points you just mentioned, and you still have access to the SWIFT system, and you don't have to deal with, you know, international banks. So I get it. You know, we don't. I think there's no wrong answer. You know, I think that's one of many things you should be doing. You know. Anyone else? We are good with time. Thank you so much, guys. It's great to be back, and enjoy the rest of the show. Have a great week. Thanks, guys.